Hey, it's Sela Social Studies.
Hey guys, welcome to Sela Social Studies. Today we're going to be talking about the two giants, the battle of the giants, Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson. Now let me learn you something a little real quick. U.S. currency, right? On the $2 bill, we have Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was an anti-federalist. Remember, he was the guy who supported the small farmers of Virginia and wanted state government. On the back of that $2 bill, what does Thomas Jefferson do? That's him writing the Declaration of Independence. Woo! So the $2 bill makes sense. Thomas Jefferson writes the Declaration of Independence. Now remember, Thomas Jefferson, dead president. He's on the bill. What do we have next here? Boom. We have the Federalist himself, Alexander Hamilton, who graces the $10 bill. Now, what's that building on the back of the $10 bill? I have no idea. Do you think they go together, or do they just want to put a building on it? That is the U.S. Treasury. Why is the U.S. Treasury on the back of this bill? Well, because Alexander Hamilton was the first Secretary of the Treasury. He's the guy who gets the whole national bank going. So let's get into the tale of the two giants. Right here, we have number one, Alexander Hamilton. Remember, he is the Federalist. He is the first Secretary of the Treasury under George Washington. He is the guy who supported international trade, specifically with England. If you remember in your world history class, England and France are kind of always at war with each other, always have been. And actually, it's kind of strange that when they fight in the world wars, they're kind of on the same team. Odd, but we'll get there, right? So you have Hamilton, the Federalist, economist, the economist, the guy who wants the big business to run the country, the guy who wants the banks, the guy who wants the strong central government. Next to him or below him, you have the anti-federalist, the big one. You have Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was an anti-federalist. That's not his political party, but he is an anti-federalist. He actually comes up with what we call the Democratic Republican political party. He winds up running for the Democratic Republicans when he runs for president. He is the first Secretary of State under George Washington. So these guys are both on the same presidential cabinet under Washington. And Jefferson, on the flip side of Hamilton, supports the French Revolution. After the American Revolution, France goes into a revolution and they're fighting a war and they want us to support. Do we support? Do we not support? We're not sure what to do. And you'll find that out later. We are neutral. So here we go. The first guy. This is the important stuff you want to know about Alexander Hamilton, his ideas of our government, his political party. He founded the Federalist Party. He is supported by the wealthy, the merchants, soon to be bankers, the guys who do trade, the wealthy and the smart, the education of American supporters, well-educated. Hamilton was a well-educated man. He went out and read lots and lots of books, and he supported and he thought that the wealthy and smart should be the ones to run the country. The location of his supporters are in the New England, the coastal areas, the northern areas. His belief in the central government, again, a repeat from before. The central government should be a strong government controlled by elite with high voting qualifications, kind of snooty. Okay. What is his view on the Constitution? This is important. This is one of your vocabulary words. He is a loose constructionist when it comes to the Constitution. Hamilton is what we call a loophole guy. And what this means, first of all, he wants to ratify it the way it is, but he believes that he could do things in the national government because the Constitution did not say that he can't do it. I'm reading the Constitution. It doesn't say I can't do this, so I'm going to do it. All right. That is a loose constructionist, really loose based. Okay. Like I said, a loophole guy. The U.S. economy should be based on manufacturing, trade, commerce, finances. We should have a national debt because it helps our credit. We want to have a good credit. What is his view on the French Revolution? Don't even go near it. Let them fight what they're going to fight. Who cares? We need to take care of ourselves first. What is his view on the federal government assuming the state's debts from the Revolutionary War. Now, this is important because we're going to cover a compromise that actually has a lasting effect on America because of this. He feels that the government should assume the state's debts from the war, and it would give the government a line of credit, making the United States a giant global trading partner. That's what he wants. The more debt that we're in, the better credit we have. It's strange, but that's the way it works, believe it or not. When you become an adult, you have a lot of credit or a lot of debt, you can have a stronger credit score. So what's Hamilton's view on the national bank? He wants to create a national bank, sell stocks to citizens. He feels it's authorized by the Constitution because it doesn't say that he can't do it. But the important thing is with this bank, he is going to include personal lenders. He's going to bring personal people who are rich into this banking system, so the rich has a hand into what the economy of the country is going to do. He feels that it is those rich, those wealthy, those educated that are going to bring this country up on its feet, and things are going to go great. So on the flip side, you have Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson, again, the political party, he's a Democratic Republican. There is no anti-federalist political party. He supports the farmers, the storekeepers, the shopkeepers, the small-time backwoods, rural, interior region of the United States citizens. Those people is who support Jefferson and who he supports, which means now that a lot of those farmers are uneducated. A lot of the uneducated follow Thomas Jefferson, and he believes that it is these uneducated, here you go, location, the backcountry, interior region farmers of the United States should be the people who are creating the laws, who have the laws created for them. His belief in the central government, he thinks it should be weak. They should have no powers to do anything. The states should have the rights to control everything, and the common man can govern and vote for themselves. What is his view on the Constitution? Hamilton was loose, constructionist. Thomas Jefferson is a strict constructionist of the Constitution. What does this mean? Jefferson believes you can only do what the Constitution says you can do, and that will turn around and bite him in the rear end in 1803 when we talk about Louisiana. Remember that. He is a strict constitutionist. If the Constitution does not say that I can do it, then I cannot do it. He believes that the U.S. economy should be based on farming. Small farmers, they should be the ones controlling our government. View in the French Revolution, Jefferson feels it's the French that helped us beat Britain. Now we should help France beat Britain. Jefferson spent a lot of time in France during the Revolution trying to get their help. So he's kind of like sympathetic to France. He thinks that we should help them fight. So him and Hamilton disagree about that. The view on the federal government assuming the state's debts from the Revolutionary War, he's like, dude, I'm from Virginia. We really don't have a lot of state's debts. We're able to pay for a lot of our stuff with our plantation farming with our slaves who we don't pay. So we have a lot of this tobacco and stuff that we can sell and make lots of money. Why should we have to pay the debts of Massachusetts, New York, all those states up there who accrued a lot of debt fighting this war? We shouldn't have to do that. We're good. We paid for our debts. Let them go ahead and pay what they need to pay. Why are we going to get taxed to pay for their stuff? So he believes that, yes, the government should not assume the state's debts and they should not get taxed to have to pay those back. His view on the national bank, no way. He opposes it. He does not think that the national bank that's controlled by traders, private rich Americans and merchants are going to help the small farmers. He also says, hey guys, Constitution doesn't say that we can create a national bank, so we're not going to do it. So who wins out of all of this? Well, it's kind of like the first thing you get is a trade-off. The second thing you kind of see that Hamilton wins, which is why the Treasury is on the back of the $10 bill, which Hamilton, not a president, is a part of. So what do we have? The central government does assume the state's debts. Hamilton wins there. In a way. The state's debts are assumed by the federal government with the Compromise of 1790. Compromise. One person gets one thing, somebody else gets something as well. Madison and Jefferson would support the assumption of the state debts of the United States as long as the capital is moved from New York City, and then they're talking about Philadelphia and all these other places, to Washington, D.C., where it is today on the Potomac River. So the Compromise of 1790, we're going to go over that next, has a lasting effect until today. And the creation of National Bank. Who wins there? Hamilton as well. The National Bank Act is passed in 1791. That creates the National Bank that deals with the debts of the United States. Many private investors get their hands inside that bank to say what the American economy is going to do. So a lot of our financial stability, the way it's run today, is kind of molded by Alexander Hamilton himself. He has a lot of these ideas that we still share today. Up next, we're going to cover that Compromise of 1790 in a little bit more depth.